there's so many of these intricacies with how the day-to-day functions and how it works, and Matthew and I talk a lot, but I also talk a lot with our other offices. It just so happens, unless you have good friends who do dentistry, or who have gone through dentistry school, or who are dental assistants or dental hygienists, you really don't know. It doesn't affect you until it does. So how many of you knew that? To me, that's scary. That's mind-blowing. And so, all right. So I guess step one then would be check the type of policy you have, right? Whether it's HMO or PPO. Pretty straightforward. Most people know that just because if they require medical care, they're going to know, right? And then step two is to send in kind of like a test claim.
Send in a predetermination or a pre-op. That's typically what you want to send in. Now, this is actually segmented, so this is just one part of the pie when you're dealing with PPOs. So this is one mess. When you're in network, it makes it easier because everybody knows what's going to happen and you can predict a lot more accurately. You go out of network, let's say for example you don't like the doctor you're at, go somewhere else. But they might not be in network, but you really like them, so you might have to sacrifice a little bit in terms of your coverage. But in that private sector of paying for insurance, you have another part of that field called HMOs, DMOs, DMOs actually is the other one, designation. So what that is totally different, because people on those plans, they like to boast about, hey, I got a crown, I got some root canals, I got some full-on bridges work done, all this type of high-end treatment. I only paid $180. It was great. They paid everything. That's another one that's scary. They don't tell you this either. In life, basically you get what you pay for. So if you imagine you've got something about maybe, I don't know, $15,000 worth of work and you paid about $200, $300 maybe for all that. Sounds amazing. It is. It's too good to be true. Just like anything, it costs a lot of money to have a practice, costs a lot of money to pay your staff, a lot of overhead, and not to mention the lab work. And typically where things get chopped off a little bit is on the lab work, because that's the one element that they can control, the providers. When you go to these DMOs and HMO type of companies, like Delta Care is another one, they're great. They provide a service. They give patients access to care, which is it. It looks like a tooth. You got a provider, you got a good, quality staff, but it's the quality of the restoration that you're not going to get. These practices, and again, there's nothing against them, but it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're looking for quality, you either need to be fee for service, which is paying cash, and or PPO type of an insurance, so you can get some money out of that policy that you have, or you're looking for quantity. Basically, you just want something that looks like a tooth that you can chew with. You're not really looking for the long term. Some people, again, they don't know that difference, and I have to educate them on that. They'll come in, hey, I have an HMO. First of all, you can't go to any practice you want to in an HMO. A DMO, none of that works that way. Delta Care, you have to go to a practice that's specifically in network. Now, how many offices take that? You'll find out real quick if you haven't already. There's not that many practices that take this, and it's for a reason, because the fee schedule is totally different. I don't have specific fees, but I can give you a ballpark. So for, let's just say a crown. You go to a PPO type of a practice, crowns are anywhere from, I don't know, let's just say $1,000, maybe up to $1,200, somewhere in there for a good high-end crown. If you go to an HMO, the crown fee is around $500, $600 on average, somewhere in there. And it varies on demographics and whatnot. So that's a good average to go off of, but that's what they pay the provider. Now you pay basically a small copay. $30, I've heard of people paying $30, $40 for a crown. When you think of that, and you think of all that math, all the calculations that has to go into what the cost of that fabrication of that restoration is, it's a lot of money. Now the only way you can save money is to not have a good quality restoration. Send it to a lab, who knows where. Nothing against labs that work out of China or India or Mexico, any of those places, but there's no quality control there. So when they get that back, there's no telling what's in that piece of metal. And I've heard horror stories of people that have said, hey, they've tested my crown and it was made from metal from a hubcap.
Oh yeah.
And it happens. You don't know. You might not get it. Maybe you've got one that'll last you for a while. Who knows what'll happen? But that's the issue. You go in, you get this work done. You just don't know what you're going to get. And that's very unfortunate.
So I'm still shocked. But when you refer to fees, right? Fees specifically, It's just the inside baseball term for insurance companies and dental offices. So between the insurance company and your doctors, there's a lot of inside baseball that happens there. And the inside baseball here isn't anything like top secret. It just means it's a lot of paperwork, right?
Exactly.
Tons of paperwork. So when you say a good, all right, let's say good quality, all right, maybe not top price, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because even price, so even price, and this is what I've learned and found out, even price, like city to city,
Right.
same level of doctor, same level of staff, same level of care, same insurance company, their fees, the industry insider fees, can be different. And, you know, if you know anything about insurance, you know, you have the same car. If you live in Compton versus living in Calabasas, if you know where those are, I barely know where anything is. Compton and Calabasas, maybe your insurance rates are going to be different. So same idea, right? Risk factors, maybe patient flow. There's a lot that goes into it. People who actually calculate all this are actuarials, math geniuses, which I am not one of them. But the point is, the fees are good, I think, benchmark measure if you're doing lots of these types of procedures, right? Which I hope you're not. It means, you know, something's majorly wrong. But how about like materials, right? Something that people can go in and ask for,
Right.
or talk to their doctor about to know if they actually have a good doctor,
Right.
right? Can we talk about that?
Totally.
Materials.
Materials is next. All right. So there is a lot of distinction between dental materials. And let's just go into implants for a second. So I do a lot of consulting and I talk to providers all over. What I have learned in working with these practices and working in the industry with different implant companies is there are
Implants.
a large, vast array of implants companies. I didn't realize there were that many. I mean, that you go to your grocery store, go to your local health food store, you'll see vitamins from every known brand. You'll go to your milk aisle, milk's like this. Cereal is like 2 aisles long sometimes. It's the same thing in implants, the same thing in dental materials. There's no law that says that they have to be transparent with their patients. You just assume that they're doing what's right. It's a professional industry. You assume they're being professional. It's not like you're going to your mechanic shop and you have to deal with an unscrupulous mechanic that's just doing something he's not supposed to, but ripping parts off of an old car and putting it on a new one. Okay, in dentistry, that's where you have to look out for. You have to look for reviews. You've got to make sure that your practice is a good practice. If you find out that they're doing bad work, then that's a big sign for you. In dentistry, there's materials like, for example, with implants, there's high-end companies like Zimmer, Straumann, Astra. Hyacin is another one that's coming out. It's really, really good. Those are what you're going to look for, the benchmarks to go off of. You can do the research, you can do the math on what you're looking at, the integration process, the osteointegration of the implant to your body. Some don't do that. Some do. Some of them, you know, you can put them in infected areas and they'll do just fine because they're amazing implants. So asking your practitioner what you're getting and actually having them show you. We do this religiously, basically because of that reason. We show you, okay, we're going to put an implant in. This is the package it came in. This is the name. This is the size, if you even care to know that. But we show you what you're going to get, what you're paying for. Not everybody does that. You just take it at face value and kind of go from there. Which again, you assume it's a professional industry and everything's going to be fine. It's a numbers game. When you go to big conglomerates, it's pure numbers. You know, you don't really have much of a choice. Like for bone graft, for example, bone graft, you can get cadaver bone, you can have bovine, which is just cow bone. And there's some other synthetics you can use as well, but typically it's dealer's choice, whatever the provider wants to put in. And again, you're not a provider, so you don't know what's right or wrong. And they are. It's on their license, it's on their backs, on their malpractice. So you assume and hope that they're doing what's right. In this day and age, with, you know, the economy being what it is and the cost of running a business, it's very, very high. In order to, you know, segment and to try to offset those costs, the only way to do that is to kind of find out, well, this bone's cheaper than that bone. It might have come from Malaysia instead of Europe, or Germany, or wherever. All the great stuff in dentistry, anyways, is always made in the European countries. But that's typically how it goes. You just have to find out what that is.
That right there, that was from our last video. If it'll focus. Those are 4 implants, and then those have the abutments right on there.
They do, yeah. That's that brass part.
Yeah, that's that brass, gold-colored part. Let me get this to focus. Sorry, guys.
Oh man. Gotta do that.
There it is. Got it. Perfect. So that's that there. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, of course, you're gonna have bones and then gums and whatnot, but this is a see-through cross-section. It's just amazing. Look at that.
And that's a Zimmer implant. It's another high-quality implant. Zimmer, you know, they have they're known in the medical industry for hip and joint replacements. It's a very similar type of titanium that we use. Just another brand.
Amazing. So, okay.